Good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor and privilege to be among you today. My name is Kritika, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Academics at IC3 Institute. I'm excited and grateful for the opportunity to bring to you CBSE's workshop for school teachers on the topic Transformative Teaching, Integrating Career Education in the CBSE Curriculum. A recent study has shown that schools with career readiness programs have seen an 86% success rate in students being prepared to go from school to the workforce. However, in India right now, there is a need for 15 lakh career guidance counselors to support over 320 million students. But career readiness is not the sole responsibility of a career counselor alone. We've often talked about the transformative role and impact that teachers have on student lives. But let me share a few key insights on how deep this impact runs on students becoming successful for their future. A study has shown that teachers who build skills such as self regulation, self discipline, motivation, and adaptability in their classroom has resulted in a potential boost in the lifetime income of students by over 2 crore rupees. Studies have also shown that including career guidance in classroom interventions has resulted in a 15% improvement in academic performance and 20% greater chances of the student graduating from high school. As teachers, your impact is felt far beyond the subjects that you're teaching in your classroom. You are helping students to build 21st century skills, build personal qualities, and develop strength and character. You're helping them become prepared to make informed decisions about their life and future. So, to honor your contribution and help boost the impact of your work, today we have an exciting set of sessions ahead with speakers who will be shedding light on simple, incremental techniques that you can implement in your classroom to bring significant change in the life of your students. With that, I'd now like to welcome Mrs. Neeti Shankar Sharma, Deputy Secretary for Media and PR at CBSE, to set the tone for the session today.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you very much. And welcome to the session on this transformative teaching, integrating career education in CBSE curricula. Uh, Again, I'll be saying a warm welcome to our special target participants, target group, which are the teachers, educators, educationists, and of course, the distinguished speakers and the panelists with us. We are gathered here to embark on the second of the 5 session series. The first one we had already covered, where we had the principals and the school leaders, and we delved upon various topics about the career counseling, the psychosocial counseling, and the things related to us. Today, in the second of such a series, we would be interacting with the teachers and the educationalists and the academicians who are part of the school ecosystem. As teachers, we are often find ourselves inspiring students in ways we can't even understand or comprehend through a spontaneous moments, and we need to focus on transforming these moments into structured guidance and introducing techniques that help us all guide and inspire all the students that come under our wing through our journey as an educationist all through our life. And for incorporating career education into curricula, it is also important to understand how simple integrations of career education or the talks about career pathways can make a significant difference in the students' lives, helping them to explore the best fit decisions and confidence. Today's workshop is designed to empower these CBSE teachers to guide students, and it's a privilege to have amongst us Shri Manoj Srivastav. He is the Director Training with an additional charge of professional examination, and also Dr. Ram Shankar, who is Director Regional Office and COE Dubai, who is joining us live from Dubai, I should say. They both would provide us the valuable insights and their experiences, and they have a long journey, and I think both of them put in together have about more than 20 years or 25 years of experience with CBSE, and leave aside the professional experience which they have. I think we'll be sitting together with them, and there'll be a time when we'll really like to share other experiences as professionals in maybe in some other session. So welcome both of you to this particular session. We have Mr. Ganesh Kohli, who's the founder IC3, who will be setting the context for this particular session for today. We'll also hear from Poonam Bora, who's a National Project Officer, UNESCO India. And of course, Rupa Chakrabarti ma'am, the Director, Sun City Schools, and Upasana Kengra, College Advisor and Behavioral Counselor of DPS Delhi. They both would be sharing the experiences, being the real implementation personnel out there in our CBSE family. So, Kritika, over to you. And all the participants, again, I would request, please keep interacting through the chat. We will be taking up the Q&A at the later stage with our panelists, with our experts, and your messages coming on the chat or your queries coming on the chat would be taken up by the team, and then we'll move ahead. Over to you, Kritika. The floor is all yours, and thank you all of you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neeti ma'am, for such a warm welcome. I'd now like to invite Shri Manoj K. Srivatsavji, who is the Director for Training at CBSE, and the floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Kritika. At the outset, I take this opportunity to first thank Neeti and also compliment her, for taking up a topic which is as contemporary as this. I have to tell you that we are living in an era of utter uncertainties. So much of things happening world over. We really don't know in the next moment what will happen. And especially, if you see the good scenario in the education sector, there are, brutality, there are wide range of issues, which children are having to deal with. And the dynamics of growth and its obligations pose a challenge. And there is one question, one phrase that comes to my mind, and that comes to each one of mind, that what next? I mean, in whichever stage of life we are, there's always a phrase, what next? And that is where, in the early years of our career building, especially in the secondary stage, the kids are in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. If we could figure out, with the help of expert, that where are we heading? Are we heading in the right directions given the aptitude that I'm having? And then what are the values available? And third, in the entire supply-demand chain, what are the prospects that lie ahead? And that can only happen when there is frequent interaction. There is an access to somebody who is, very keenly acting as a guide to take you to your career path. And so that, a child who just come out of the class is able to determine the courses that lie ahead. And, also it is important that given the competition we are having to deal with, the classroom transition and the scenario outside, there has to be an integration. And this is where a session like this, where we'll have Dr. Ram Shankar, the former director of training, and somebody whom I love to listen on wide range of issues, is there. And also, I'm told that Ganesh Kohli, IC3, the founder member, is also there. Granular thing and the specifics about this program. I'm sure that the participant will be, availing greatly about this program. As far as CBSE is concerned, the last year theme was for this particular topic only, and we ended up conducting series of regional level conferences and also inviting presentation papers. So, as far as CBSE is concerned, you will be happy to know that we have always chosen to be proactive in handling such things, and our commitment is demonstrated. And this particular program also goes to demonstrate the same thing. My best wishes to all of you for this program, and we would love to listen both to the key speaker and also the participant as you see in the proceedings. Thank you so much, and all the best, Neeti, and all the members attending this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Manoj sir. We're grateful for your presence and your insights. I'd now like to welcome Dr. Ram Shankar, who's the Director Regional Office and the COE of Dubai, to take the floor.
Thank you, Kritika. Respected Manoj Srivastava, sir, Director Training, Niti Shankar ji, and the panelists Poonam ji, Rupa ji, Upasna ji, and Ganesh Kohli ji. Really, I'm happy to see that CBSE is continuously conducting such programs which are not only relevant but contemporary also. So I would like to thank Himanshu Gupta ji, Secretary CBSE, who organized this program. So today, I'm told that the school principals, teachers, counselors, other educators, students, parents are attending this program. So it shows that the relevance of this topic. And topic is this transformative teaching. When we say that teaching, so teaching means a process. When we say process, it means it consumes the times and resources. So it's a very, very specialized service. And it is a process where systematic methods are used to transmit the knowledge into someone. So when we say that transmission of the knowledge, it means content transmission and skill building and interpretation. But teaching involves more than that. And that is the goal now in 21st century is transformation. If we refer the NEP 2020, so it is emphasized that the system will take care of the holistic development of the individual. So when we say the transformative learning, transformative teaching, it means the goal of our teaching, our system should be to produce self-directed, self-motivated learners. When we see that self-directed and self-motivated learners, it means counseling is going to play very, very important role. So by definition, counseling is a process where individual or group of individual is empowered to take or make his or her own decision as per the available resources in given context time. So the topic is very, very important and relevant. If you see, in 1970, Jack Measure, when he worked on the transformational learning theory, he said that the interpretation of experience to the individual is very important. An individual how experience and how that person interprets the experience, it leads to the change. It means if teaching learning process is designed in a systematic manner, especially in the classroom, there are chances that an individual or group of individuals will be empowered in making or taking his or her own decision. When we say how to incorporate the career education in subject areas, it is very, very important. Today, the panelists like Poonam ji, Upasna ji, and Rupa ji, they are experienced principals and practitioners. They will share in detail, but I would like to share something. First, in classrooms, it is our responsibility to make real life connections with the subjects. For example, if a math teacher is taking classes and profit, loss, and other topics are being taken care by that teacher, so budget may be introduced. Opportunities may be given to the students to know what is budget, how you take care of the expenditure, how you can pay the bills, what is credit, what is debit. Same time, in English class, teacher can introduce or give the opportunity how to write good cover letters, how to prepare good CVs, how to prepare good resumes. Same time, like in drama or in other activities, Students may be given opportunity to exercise mock interviews. So with all these things, we have to make real life connections with the subjects. Not only this, we have to encourage the skill development. We know that in NAP 2020, a lot of emphasis has been given on the 21st century skills. So research, communication, collaboration, cooperation, team building, etc. should be integrated with the subjects. And during some exercises, some activities, the skill development should be promoted. Then we have to take care of the subject or discipline specific career experiences. So during, for example, if a physics teacher comes, so that teacher can also help the students in exploring the opportunities available in the area of physics. For example, social science teacher. So what are the career avenues? Those things should be given in the class. And in classrooms, teacher may also create a subject-specific tree. You choose one subject like history. So what are the like career options are available? Archaeologist, right? In museums. So n number of the jobs, professions, job roles may be identified and career tree may be developed by the students. So principals are there, expert panelists are here. So they can explore in detail and share their experiences. But one thing I would like to share, this part is very, very important. And in NEP 2020, there is a provision of 50 hours continuous professional development for the teachers. And CBSE has already developed the career counseling related capacity building program, which is being offered through the Center of Excellence. So more programs are required, more exposure visits may be done, and upgradation of the teachers is required. Teacher is not supposed to take own like subject or discipline only. Teacher should be given opportunity to acquire some counseling skills, some techniques, and every teacher should be counselor to some extent. I hope such programs will help our teachers, and ultimate beneficiary will be the students. I congratulate and thank all the coordinators and the organizers from the CBSE and other organizations who have organized this program. I wish all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was incredibly enlightening. And I'm very grateful that you set the tone by saying that counseling has to be self-directed and we need to empower students to be able to make their own decisions. And the incredible examples that you shared about how we can connect classroom learning to careers in the world of work. Thank you so much for that speech, sir. I'd now like to invite our second keynote speaker for today, Mr. Ganesh Kohli. Mr. Ganesh is a teacher, a counselor, an entrepreneur, and a lifelong learner who has founded, nurtured, and led multiple education-focused organizations over the past 27 years. In his professional journey, he's visited over 450 universities globally, mentored over 4,000 students in helping them make decisions about their higher education. With the vision of counseling in every school, Ganesh has founded the IC3 movement, which has reached 90 countries and has 1,400 plus volunteers globally. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Ganesh.
Very grateful for the opportunity. Wonderful to see Dr. Ramshankar again. And Manojji, thank you for those comments at the beginning. And I think my work is significantly taken care of by Ramshankarji. So I'm going to share some quick insights and really build on what has been shared. Essentially, it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to counsel a child. And we've always looked at counseling as an act to be performed for senior students in year 11 and 12. But counseling is really a culture that needs to permeate through the entire school ecosystem. Counseling is actually a responsibility of every teacher, and every teacher would shape how the children will evolve into what they choose. One thing I learned during my schooling days was, and through my life was, that a student never loves or hates a subject. A student loves or hates their teacher. And I was a terrible student in school. I was often called a hopeless boy. And but I was rescued by one math teacher. Her name was Molly Abraham. And when I studied math, I connected so deeply because she was empathetic, she provided context. And so it's so important that we all acknowledge how powerful we are as educators. Most of us who are listening in today may not remember a body doctor you went to or an allopath you went to who gave you an injection or who put a band-aid around your arm when you were in class 8 or 9. But we almost all of us would remember a teacher that we met when we were in class 8 or 9. The teacher's impact is 60 years long. A body doctor's impact could just be 6 days or 6 hours long. And so all of us are extremely important for the student. And I'm going to, share a few slides with you to really emphasize what our role is. Google's providing all the information. There's a whole lot of textbooks out there, but we are meant to help young people make sense of information that's being shared. We're meant to provide context, and every teacher needs to play a counselor, because just like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes the entire school ecosystem to actually counsel and support a child's decision making. And I already shared this, that both consciously and unconsciously, we are going to have an impact. That if the student gets inspired by you or your work, the student could be inspired around geography, history, physics, biology, or economics purely by the actions of the educator. I know that in many systems, we put doctors and engineers and pilots and accountants above teachers, but the reality is that the teacher makes the doctor, the teacher makes the engineer, the teacher makes the accountant, the teacher makes the pilot. And so there is no one more important than you. And every action is having an impact. Every action, every word spoken till a student is 16 or 18 years old has a lasting impact. And we know that after a certain point, we don't change much. But words spoken and guidance provided to young people when they are 8 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, has a long-term impact. So there are 3 simple ways to integrate counseling in your schools. And we already have it there. Every day is a counseling day. The school assembly is a counseling opportunity. The sports day is a counseling opportunity. The annual day is a counseling opportunity. The physics class is a counseling opportunity. We just need to start to see those opportunities around us. So I'm going to share 3 simple ways to integrate counseling in schools. Number 1, bringing a counseling-based approach to classroom learning. Now, what do I mean by this? Whatever you are teaching, the focus needs to be on who will use what I'm teaching, where will it be used, and how will it be used. If you can just encourage, and you may not even focus on this completely, but if you can slide this into every lesson and have a plan where you encourage research, where you encourage exploration on who will use what I'm teaching, every chapter, every paragraph. Who will use what I'm teaching, where will it be used, and how will it be used? And then asking a question, where is it right now? You know, a student could be sitting in his bedroom and see that it is a physics lab. There's gravity at play, there's acoustics, concave convex lenses, light rays are falling a certain way, focal length changes. They could do every, idea in chemistry possibly in the kitchen. They could learn economics with a chair. Why is the chair not made of gold? Why is not made of heavy metal? Economics of weight and value. We could teach every concept by bringing their academics into their life. We have a pandemic in school called boredom among children and seriousness amongst educators. Young people are getting bored in school because they don't have context. And the power of counseling is that the academics become alive for students. When physics is not just a subject, but it is also my life. When I can see the physics in my life, I am going to start to love physics. When I can see the math in my life, I'm going to start to love math. And when students start to separate academics with hobby or computer games or things that they love versus studying. In Hindi we say padhai alag, masti alag ya maza alag. That play time is separate, study time is separate. Actually, if we get the counseling laboratory pedagogy right, which is a pedagogy you can learn about, every academic class is like reading Harry Potter or playing a computer game. And that is what we can do as an educator community, as a teacher community. If you are teaching abstract concepts in algebra and geometry and a student is suffering and not able to correlate it with what you are saying, we've simply got to show them where's the quadratic equation in a motorboat, or where is the algebra and the geometry in football, or where is it in the satellite dish. Very simple. I mean, it's a parabola, that dish, there's an equation, all of these signals get consolidated to a certain point. That's how. Very simple concepts in our everyday life. You can lift a pen and teach a whole lot of concepts with a pen. The fact is, academics and life, when they are separated, students get bored in school and they start to have challenges. We've seen evidence that when they start to see their academics in their life, their academic performance also improves. And there are multiple examples. Every subject becomes a skill. So many language teachers have shared with us in the past that students don't take languages seriously so many times because they feel that the science subjects and their other subjects are the core subjects. There are more careers around language than anything else. Language is not a subject that they have to study, but a skill that they would live with. So when we bring career and college counseling in school, every subject becomes a skill. Language is a skill, physics is a skill, math is a skill. And I've just shared some examples on these slides here. I'm not reading out of these slides, but if we can start to show them where you're teaching them graph theory in mathematics, where is it used? Your credit card information could get stolen. These days, there are so many online challenges, cybersecurity issues. All of those pieces you can start to correlate with the topics that you are covering. Somebody likes movies and you're saying my history class is getting really boring. Well, show them what can happen with history. Students want to have context. that my history class actually could lead me to something that I love, which is cinema and television and culture and heritage. My history class could lead me to something completely different. I know that, I often got bored in certain classes because when I was a student, I didn't know what it would lead to or where it would be used in the world. You're teaching food and nutrition to children, or you're teaching chemistry to children. They all love the idea. Show them where it would be used. Senior students, I've given an example of a flavor chemist here and what he or she does, but everything that we are teaching has a real example. Geography, I used to suffer in my school times because we were given maps and we were asked to color which part of the map. And, I used to confuse between Maharashtra and Assam. I was a terrible student. But when you study geography, you can actually play with a map on the ground and the floor. You can actually wrap around geography around football. There is a kid who doesn't like geography so much but loves football, and I'm going to share the wraparound concept with you. You can actually use football and wrap around geography on that. You could show them how people from different parts of the world, and then you could actually use some of the tools and techniques that they are using now, the maps and the navigation, talk about careers around cartography and all of those, or simply ask them to explore who will use this geography, where will it be used, and how will it be used. Similarly, biology, the student may love animals, may love wildlife, but he doesn't have a context. He's very distant from life and biology, and he could actually start to see options around wildlife, becoming a wildlife ecologist or a conservationist, etc. So many other examples. Since there are so many different teachers in this session, I'm using examples on psychology. You could be a social psychologist. The same social media that you're addicted to, you could have a career around psychology and social media. You like economics, you could actually look at what that could lead to. I think Dr. Ramshankar very beautifully talked about price and profit and loss. And, you could be a pricing analyst. Did they even know that, what microeconomics and macroeconomics is, and what, the supply and demand concept? Simple ways of bringing things alive in the classroom. So, I'm just sharing one example of making an incremental change. We don't need to change too much as educators. One incremental change is you have this sheet that you create. Chapter being taught in your subject next week. What is a career which uses this concept? How is it linked to the chapter or subject you are teaching? And one way you can include this in the lesson plan. As a teacher, we don't need too much energy or effort. Simple, little bit of research, and we can create some magic for the students. So this was my number one piece. The second one was shifting the identity of students away from just the academic performance. You will be amazed that when career and college counseling is fully integrated with academic teaching and learning, we will start to see grades go up. We're seeing more people get into IIT when we take this approach, rather than when, we are simply asking them to learn the subject. So asking questions when students are doing well or are not doing well, asking simple questions. This is another example. If you're taking pictures or whatever, you can always make note. A simple addition could be a change in the post-exam narrative, saying, okay, what are the subjects I really enjoy? What are, that are my strengths? These are my strong subjects, these 3 subjects. And what is it that I like about the subject? What makes me good at the subject? And then what is it that I'm not enjoying so much, I could improve on? And what are my challenges with that subject? Now, I want you to hold on to this idea because I'm going to end my keynote with the wraparound concept. But every time, and in fact, why don't I just share that with you right now? Every time a student loves something, loves computer games, loves social media, loves playing a sport, the opportunity is to wrap around other things that which he loves. For example, I just shared, he loves football and you can wrap around algebra and geometry around football. After a certain age, students learn by wrapping around new knowledge or new things or things that they don't like around what they already know or what they enjoy. For example, if the student is 14 or 15 years old and has to start studying Japanese language, you will wrap around Japanese on English or Hindi or whatever you study. You will take a Japanese word and translate it into English. You are wrapping Japanese around English. Similarly, every new idea, every idea that a student is struggling with, we can wrap around that idea if we have a counseling mindset around what the student loves or enjoys. So this could aid in subject selection for students going forward. And the third point I want to make, and the last one, is integrating counseling in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Again, Dr. Ramshankar talked about it. Manojji briefly shared about this as well. But the fact is that counseling is in everything. And I don't like the term extracurricular and co-curricular, by the way. This is immersive learning. Football is not an extracurricular activity, really, if I am seeing economics and algebra and geometry and physics in football. Football is mainstream activity. So I personally don't like the idea of extracurricular. It is actually part of the curriculum. It's just that we need to be imaginative around how we do this. So very simply, a student loves debating. He likes to argue. You know, you can actually start to see what skills this student will develop: research, communication, ability to negotiate, formal communication skills, analytical thinking. When the student starts to see all of these skills that they can develop around activities and bind it with their academic subjects. So theater and drama, what would they learn? Time management, emotional intelligence. They can't just get any prop for a theater or a show. They need to understand economics and financial planning. They need to be creative. And then, so many people in our country here love cricket. What does cricket really teach you? What are the skills? And how can you use cricket to tie your academic subjects? Remember, what we consider to be a distraction as teacher, we say social media is a distraction. Pura time cricket dekhta rehta hai. You know that cricket is a distraction. It's not. It actually is an attraction for the student. You can turn every distraction into attraction as a teacher if you use the counseling based approach. And so, this is another simple example of a sheet that you can use. Integrating in the school calendar. You say that, okay, this is the activity. I played cricket. I played in the inter-school competition. What are the skills that I developed? I learned about teamwork. And how would I score myself? Am I a team player? Do I give myself 8? Do I give myself 5? And then what are the personal qualities I learned in cricket? Patience. I got restless after 3 dot balls and I hit the ball really hard and I got bowled. But I learned patience through cricket. How do I rate myself around patience? And then the teacher can, if you had the time, you could get involved with this. So this is so important. We've been working across 93 countries now. And I can give you this example. This is Gyan Pitika School in Bhalia in Uttar Pradesh. And we had so many first generation learners. They were running the counseling laboratory pedagogy and asking Google Tao they ended up having for the first time 2 students who left the village to study in a polytechnic. Otherwise, they would not go beyond careers in certain areas, farming, certain other merchandise, or certain other trading. They will not go beyond certain things. But that's the power of counseling. And teachers can inspire it with 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders. This is a school in Jharkhand. Uh, and we had these students who actually experimented with a whole lot of different industries. They were correlating their academic subjects through their teachers' classroom sessions. And then eventually they decided to pursue pharmacy. Now, this may not have happened. They volunteered during COVID and they did, they visited different kinds of industries from bakery to plastic production, etc. But they were starting to see their academic subjects in their real life. And this is the last piece that I want to leave all of our friends with here, all the teachers here, that academic integration is the key to career and college counseling. That we connect concepts from the classroom to the real world of careers. We turn subjects into skills. And then we bring the broader holistic perspective through social sciences. I cannot just look at physics from an angle or be an engineer and just look at it from the angle of the sciences. As an engineer, I will also need to look at sociology and psychology and philosophy and culture a little bit. So there are different aspects. An engineer also needs to understand the people that they will work for. So other than knowing physics, chemistry and math, I need to know a little bit about psychology because I want to understand people. I want to understand the society in which I will operate. I need to understand sociology. So social sciences are very important, even if it's a science student on a science track, because it broadens their horizon. And then sharing pathways for transition to higher education. Use your former students, current students, other resources. Give them a path to the next steps. And I'll leave this wraparound concept with you because I already talked about it. Wrap your subjects around things that students love, around things that they have already done, and things that they enjoy doing. And when you do that, you are going to have a great experience. So I have finished with my address here. I know Dr. Ramshankar and Manojji and others have spoken as well, but our panelists will do a fabulous job, and I'm going to turn this back to Kritika to continue with the introduction of the panelists, who are stellar, incredible individuals, and then the panel discussion. Thank you very much, and back over to you, Kritika.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, for an incredible keynote. I think we've been left with so many memorable examples of how we can correlate at least the next chapter that we're going to teach in our respective subject classes with an exciting example of how it links to careers in the world of work. And I'm sure it's going to help you answer the most important and pertinent question a lot of teachers might be getting asked. Ma'am, where am I going to, or ma'am or sir, where am I going to use this in my life or in the future? Why do I need to study this right now? So hopefully that the incredible set of examples that you shared and a lot of the very simple incremental techniques are things that we can take back with us and easily integrate in our class. So thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh. I'd now like to move on to the next section of our session today. We are having a stellar and phenomenal panel of speakers who are going to be joining me in just a moment to share their insights and expertise on this topic. In fact, as Neeti ma'am had shared at the beginning, they are the stakeholders who are on the ground, who have been systemically creating a revolution in their respective schools. So please join me in extending a very warm welcome to our three panelists. First, I'd like to invite Ms. Poonam Bora, who is the National Project Officer for UNESCO India. She was also formerly a teacher at Vasant Valley School, so she really understands the heart of the students and the growth trajectory from there. We next have Mrs. Rupa Chakravarti, who's the director of the Sun City Schools. And you're going to learn through the examples that she will share shortly how at every level, whether it's at a stakeholder or a system level, she's brought about remarkable transformation through simple exercises that we can also hopefully learn from today and take back to school with us. And finally, I'd like to invite Ms. Upasna Kinra, who is a behavioral counselor, an A-level psychology teacher, and a career and college counselor at DPS International School in Delhi. Ms. Upasana is in a very unique position of being both a subject teacher and a career guidance counselor and a behavioral counselor. So it's a nexus of the three most important things that we need to do to provide support to students to help them make informed choices. So welcome to all three of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to kick us off with a short poll that we would like to launch for the audience to participate in. So this is, I'm just bringing the poll up on my screen right now. Kindly let me know when it is visible. Okay, I can see a couple. We have put it in the chat of the YouTube link, so I can see several people have had access. But in essence, we would like all the participants who are watching us to go to www.menti.com. As you can see on the top here, menti.com, and use the code 59399359 to log in, access this poll, and fill your response to it. So please go to menti.com and use this code to fill in your response. This is, I'm sure, a frequently asked question for a lot of educators. How often do parents and students come and seek your advice on their child's career and college decision? So I want to start by asking Mrs. Rupa, as a school leader, how often do you get asked this question, and how often is the expectation placed on you to know how to guide students so that this is an expected part of the school's process?
Thank you for introducing us and for inviting us to this forum to speak. We've had wonderful speakers before us, very erudite and very explicit in their experiences and what they had to share, which is a huge learning. So for me, as a teacher for 33 years, I realized that parents just cling on to anybody where it is about the future of their child. What they do not realize is if they do certain things right, they do not have to go to anyone. Life itself will give them the answers. And that is exactly what we are going to be talking about. And at the end, you will see some of the practices that Sun City School has put into, expedited and put into effect for the parents to understand where this will go. Because the first counselor a child has is the family or the parents. And it's imperative for parents to understand what the teaching mode should be for the children or the child to be able to go forward with that particular practice that everyday teaching puts into his life and the parents see at home. So mostly I tell parents, experiences that I've had with my two children and where I went right and where I went wrong. And as a teacher, the rights and wrongs that have happened, because like they say, when you win, you get a congratulation. When you lose, you get a learning. So that learning I have passed on to my parents also of the school.
Thank you so much, Rupa ma'am, for that insight. I want to invite Upasna to come and share with us how often you get asked this question in your role as an educator and a career guidance counselor, and what your thoughts are on the outcomes that we're seeing on our screen right now.
How often parents and students ask me for my advice? That's what you're asking me?
Yes, that's right.
I mean, that's funny because, that's my job. And they expect me, in fact, on the other hand, they expect me to have all the answers all the time if I talk about parents and students. So I think it is a process where everybody works together. And, I cannot answer this directly because I would not know what is the child's interest and his aptitude or the skills. So it is something that we do together. So yes, I am asked often. That's my job profile. But despite that, I always tell them that, teacher is probably the first person, specifically if I understand after a short meeting that, the child is interested in a specific subject and would like to pursue it, then the child, I tell the child to go back to the teacher and maybe discuss it at length with the teacher first and come back again. So yes, this is how generally, we start the conversation on careers sometimes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Upasana. And of course, in your role as career guidance counselor, that's the primary question you get asked. But I meant also in the context of the teaching engagement that you're having in the school. But in that,
Psychology teacher, yes.
that's right.
Actually, my role is very fuzzy for them. So they look at me, they see me as somebody who's going to help them in their emotional needs, somebody who's going to help them with the psychology notes and the psychology careers, and somebody who will help them with all the careers and their questions and queries and colleges and everything. So I don't know. So it keeps coming to me quite often.
Thank you so much for sharing that insight. And you're right, the lines of a teacher are hardly very strictly defined. While you are an academic expert in your subject, the expectation is also that you are providing counsel for like support and the well-being of the child. You are someone they're reaching out to ask for guidance on subjects that they could take up or careers that they could take up in their future. And you are the go-to person for the child essentially. So thank you for sharing that insight. And with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Poonam to share her thoughts on this. As a former teacher, is this a question that you used to get asked quite often from students in your subject class itself as to, ma'am, can you help me figure out what I should study, what I should take, or what I could do?
Yeah, thank you. And once again, thank you for the invite to be a part of the panel, and everyone else, a warm welcome to every teacher who's part of the conversation today. I think in terms of as a former teacher, if I put on that that hat on, and not just here in New Delhi, I am from the Northeast, so I've seen a range of infrastructure and school settings, so to speak. And I think this question comes often, right? Because we are all interested in understanding what's next. And I think more so because I used to be a former English teacher. So I was often asked, how is this poem, The Road Not Taken, any useful to my life story, right? And I think those are simple things, but I think there are sometimes you ignore those questions. But I think as an English teacher, doing a poem called The Road Not Taken has great lessons for life, for how we build that awareness about which decisions we take and how we make decisions. And career education is a lot about making decisions. So a simple act of a poem in an English lesson can teach us many lessons about making decisions, which is a lot what is career education. So I think a lot of questions that I got in my former role is, how is this relevant to what career I'm going to choose? And I think that is a responsibility for any teacher, no matter what subject you're teaching and in what settings or states and provinces that you may be within India, that it is something that I think our responsibility for us to know and help our students navigate what is really tough decisions to make.
Thank you so much for once again highlighting a very special and a distinct example of how decision making is a skill developed through study of poetry, which is not often how we think of it, right? We often think about knowledge gained from subjects and teachers imparting knowledge in the class, but this is such a great example of skill building in a classroom setting, and how that skill building is going to translate into informed decisions, not just for the purpose of choosing their career right now, but also longitudinally as you're moving forward in different life and work situations when students have to make informed choices. This is a great model and example of how teachers are skill builders. So thank you for elucidating that example. And I want to then come to the next question, and I'm going to bring up a poll shortly for our audience to also complete and participate. But while that poll is coming up, did you feel as a teacher, and I will ask this to both Ms. Poonam and Ms. Upasana, in your capacity as subject teachers, when you just started out your journey as a subject teacher and when you went through the training process of becoming an academic teacher, did you feel equipped to answer the questions that students and parents were asking about careers? So if you didn't have the training or context on skill building and the careers background, and as an academic teacher in your core training, is that something you felt equipped with? So I'll start with Ms. Upasana and then go to Ms. Poonam.
Yeah, I was itching to speak because, sometimes, like I said previously, that, just because I'm a career counselor, so people come to me with the notion that I am an encyclopedia on careers and everything to do with careers, even if it's my own subject, psychology, which is not true. So it is a very dynamic field when we talk about careers and the way the careers are shaping up every second day. So till this date, no matter how many years of experience I carry, I haven't stopped reading. I haven't stopped researching. I mean, I feel bad if I don't get some time to read every day. And because of this, I've stopped reading other things. I'm not propagating that, but because I really need to be on top of things because my students come up with such questions that I might not have even thought about. So, they are the ones who push me to research. And even when I talk about psychology, I mean, my first class that I start with my 11th graders is where I introduce psychology to them and give them a task, a group task, where they come back with their PowerPoint presentations on careers in psychology. That helps me as well. So it helps me knowing more careers that probably I must not have researched. So yes, that's how I am dealing with it till date. Yes. I don't know when I will be 100% equipped and I'll say, no, I know everything about my subject.
Thank you so much. I think your humility I'm humbled by your humility. And I think this is such an important thing you just shared, because in today's day and age, with the kind of rapid access to information that students have, collaborative teaching methods and collaborative teaching environments are the way to go in ensuring that there is a sense of mutual respect and holistic learning that's happening in the classroom. So that's a great example of that. Thank you for sharing that, Upasana ma'am. Poonam, I'll bring the same question that I asked earlier back over to you about in your earlier training as a subject teacher, did you feel equipped to answer those questions?
I'll be very brief because the answer is simple, not at all. I think I was all of 21 when I first joined as an academic teacher. And having completed a master's in a teacher education, I did not know what was to be done differently. And I can tell you that I would personally had not known enough about which career choice I would like to pursue, let alone career choices of students and what choices out there. But I think 100% agree with what Upasana has shared around the curiosity that we need to build in ourselves as teachers, and also build the same curiosity in our students, and especially for our younger as well as older students, to have that shared curiosity of what is out there in the field and what they are noticing. Are they noticing a lot of Swiggy bicycles? Are they noticing their mothers and fathers ordering a lot from Mintra or any of these other e-commerce platform? What are they noticing, and what might that information mean for what is out there in the job market? So I think it is about being curious, both as a teacher and also inculcating the same curiosity in our students.
Thank you for your honesty. I think it's also aided in, it's going to sort of support the things I'm also seeing on the poll right now as our audience is sharing. I hope my screen is visible. So I can see that a lot of the teachers have also responded in a very similar beat to what you have just shared about sometimes feeling prepared, sort of prepared, but not really prepared also. Rupa ma'am, I'd love to invite your comments on the responses that we're seeing to the poll and your experience with the teachers at your school when they come, when parents come to them and ask, and their level of preparation around responding to this question.
So I think everybody's been very candid in saying that we are not prepared. As a teacher, I can tell you I had no idea 33 years back, this being my 34th year, about career counseling. But times they have changed. There's been a we have transcended into an era where we are so conscious about career counseling, and the likes of Ganesh Kohli have really got this on. IC3 has got this on to people, kind of put it, drilled it literally into people's mind. And there are many more people who do it. And I'm so glad that CBSE, one of the biggest organizations that we have, educational boards that we have in our country and across the globe, has supported this, because this is the need of the hour, because the brain has been researched upon in the last 20 years, and the findings have taught us that the career development is going to be huge in the future. Hence, career counseling has had an exponential shift, and we need to be prepared for this. And this is definitely a step towards all we teachers coming into the gambit of learning what career counseling is about and how to take it forward in our classrooms and in the school and out in the community.
Thank you so much, Rupa ma'am. And I think you touched base on something important that we had within our theme as well, about how teachers are 10% counselors. And I think that's also what is reflecting in the poll answers right here, where people are either feeling somewhat prepared or prepared or not prepared. Because like even Ms. Poonam and Ms. Upasna had shared earlier, the type of environment that's being created with students becoming proactive researchers, people who are taking initiative to read, it brings us to the forefront of needing to know what developments are happening in the world of work, and that classroom learning cannot be isolated just to the syllabus, the textbook and the chapter that we're teaching, but it has to be a holistic learning experience. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of the incredible audience who have been sharing their insights on the poll as well. So what we're going to do now is move through each of our expert speakers and have them share insights on something that's very unique to their area of work. And with that, I want to first invite Ms. Poonam, because in her work, she's currently the National Project Officer for UNESCO India. And she has a very unique perspective on what is happening in the world of work today. So Ms. Poonam, my question to you is going to be, so understanding how rapidly evolving changes are happening in career pathways, right, in the world of work, and what students require in terms of not just academic knowledge or technical skills or soft skills, what kind of nuanced holistic development, inherent shifts in personal growth and personal quality students require to be able to be successful in these dynamic environments. This is something I'd really like to invite your expertise on, and also some context on the current landscape of the world of work and how students can be made more employable starting in the class, because this ties back closely to what I said in my introduction. Wherever there are career guidance interventions at a holistic school level, there is an 86% success rate in the student being ready for the workforce. So I'd love to invite you now to share your insights on this, and my colleague Anupama will be sharing her screen with your slides.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll just wait for the screen to come up. Okay, I do see it loading. The next slide, please. I think I'm visible, so can I get the slide on the world, the jobs forum? Great. Thank you. So I think, Kritika, to answer your question around what is out there, right? What does the job market look like? And of course, from the position where I sit within UNESCO MGIEP specifically, but also from a more global perspective of what is out there, I want to highlight this particular slide here. But before kind of getting deep into what is written here, I want to highlight where this is coming from, right? So this information is coming from the Futures of Job, which is a report that the World Economic Forum prepares. And it's a really good snapshot and does a really good job of providing a snapshot to all of us for what is out there in terms of the future of the job market, as well as what companies are doing, what is the workforce, our future students, what is that looking like? So what the report essentially does is it really brings together the perspectives of, I think, some 800 different companies collectively that employ a good 11 million workers, and it's across 27 different industry clusters. And again, from different economies from all over the world. And I think close to 45 different economies from all over the world. So to say that it does provide a comprehensive report. And what it does show, I think if we are curious and looking around, we'll notice and we'll understand why these trends are, really picking up in the world. We of course can easily judge that technology and technology adoption is big, is continues to be big in our present environment, and is only going to be bigger. Technology is a big reason why we have seen big boom in the e-commerce industry. We of course see a lot, and the report highlights that increasingly there will be need for the e-commerce specialist. All of our online shopping to our online buying of vegetables to online buying of different things, right? So what does this e-commerce world look like? And a lot of new jobs around that market, along with, of course, digital transformation. I think with artificial intelligence, and not just artificial intelligence, but the different tools that is generated because of artificial intelligence, be it your chat GPT or be it other digital platforms, there is increasingly big jobs that are in those areas that can really, help take not just the world but also the country to its next level. And because of this big technology boom, so to speak, we of course then have, okay, what are the rules and regulations that need to be placed if all of us are moving in digital world and in digital platforms? Where does the data get stored? How do you compute all of this cloud storage systems and softwares, etc.? So big trend that we are noticing, and which the survey of course also highlights. Something else that is also what we can also see around is, of course, climate change and what can be done about that. So a lot of industry related specifically to like how can we make ourselves in the world more green, sustainability, and what can we do around that is, of course, taking center stage, and a lot of jobs around that are becoming more popular. Along with education, I think education is also an industry that needs to gear up, and not just traditional mainstream jobs, but also what it means within education, higher education as a job sector is also seeing its mark. But what I want to highlight, along with what of course the report shows, is that if all of these are the jobs that are out there in the future, and if this is what the trend is, what are the skills that are really showing up as important by these, some good 803 companies that have been surveyed? And what I want to focus is what is shown here. And we'll notice that, of course, we need the technicalities of how to do a lot of these technical work, be it artificial intelligence or being somebody who is an e-commerce strategist. But it's also these very important, you may call it 21st century skills, you may call it soft skills, though I personally don't like that word. There is nothing soft about it. It's a very important competency. We may call it social emotional competencies. But what we see is that we really need a mix of these cognitive skills around analytical thinking, creative thinking, but also have that resilience. You're going to have a job, and there is always a likelihood of a pandemic and you losing that job. There is always going to be a job where you're going to have a conflict with a colleague, which will lead to certain emotions coming up, and you'll have to regulate those emotions, be aware of those emotions, have the resilience in you to continue despite its many challenges. So what we do see is we can of course predict a few job patterns, but what we see is that the skills and competencies that we need, along with, of course, the technical expertise in those jobs, continue to be these very important cognitive as well as social and emotional skills. I then want to go to the next slide to also highlight that this is not an easy task when we think of ourselves as teachers as well as parents, helping to really understand what is the career market out there, what should we do, how should we counsel our students, how should we counsel our children, right? These transitions, and they are big decisions, which of course needs to happen from not just at your class 10 or class 12 as we call it here, but we need to understand that it also brings a lot of different emotions, stress, anxiety related to that decision making. These are of course big decisions that we have to take around which subjects to choose, or which of course then determines which competitive exams one can take or cannot take. It leads to its own kind of fear and uncertainty. And sometimes as teachers and perhaps as parents, we may not realize is that we create an environment sometimes that is very stressful for children and for students. And stress is in fact contagious. And if our students and our children are kind of carrying that stress and are seeing that stress in their families, they are bringing that stress in the classroom. They are bringing that stress when we are teachers teaching in classrooms. So I think we as teachers, as parents, as all the adults, because it takes us all, it takes the whole village, we really need to be mindful about all of these underlying important things that may be going on as children are making these important decisions, as they are thinking through these important decisions. So for that, what I want to do today is actually provide a resource. So if we go to the next slide, what I am going to present here is a very simple resource for teachers. Many of you may be familiar with it. If you may have done this already in your settings, but this is a feeling wheel. I take no claim for coming up with this. This is very, very much something that has been done with a lot of research, and you'll find several versions of this template online that you can download. The two circles that we see here are doing the same work in terms of really helping and like the name says of the resource, helping children understand what they are feeling, right? So we might have this big discussion that we want to have about what careers they want to choose, or we might have this big exercise for which we want them to understand, reflect, what are they good at, what are they not good at. But they might have their own emotions, anxiety, stress around this, right? A lot of times it also may relate to, am I even good enough to take these particular subjects and then take on this particular role? So there are a lot of these emotions that come in place where our students might not actually be ready for this conversation. So this is a simple tool that can help us, and we may be a teacher, we may be a parent, we may be any other adult for our children, but to use this to just help them locate. When we were young, we were always asked to carry the Oxford Dictionary. We don't really have a feeling dictionary, but this is a start of helping students build that vocabulary, build their emotional vocabulary. And this awareness of what they are feeling helps to regulate their emotions. So being able to identify that, right at this moment, I am a little anxious. So that itself is something that will help them to move forward, to have that conversation about their career choices, about their education, for instance. The two tools, again, some students might like that are words and might like something that's more, verbally helpful. But there might be children who are more happy, especially our younger students, who might be more okay with the emojis and something that's more fun to locate and label what they are feeling, so that they can work towards managing what they are feeling and be ready. So that's one simple tool that I was hoping to share today, and hoping that you can use if this is something that brings value to your work. For my next slide here, what I also want to focus is something that I alluded a little while back, which is ultimately, as teachers as well as children, we might have a particular mindset of what we are good at, right? As teachers, we may have a particular mindset about what the child may be good at, and the child may have a particular mindset of what I may be good at and what perhaps I cannot do. Not to say that those awareness is always wrong, but I want to present something here around understanding that our awareness might not always be true. So it might be helpful to still stay curious and develop a mindset where no matter where we are in the spectrum of what we find challenging or what we don't find challenging, that we continue to be in a pathway which is towards the right of your slide, which is towards growth instead of something which is fixed. So we often hear children say, I'm definitely a culprit of saying something like this, that I'm not a numbers person, or I'm not a math person, right? Or, words are not my thing. I'm not like a English word person. And we often sometimes either ourselves self-categorize ourselves into certain boxes, or as teachers, adults, parents, knowing unknowingly may box and categorize our students a little bit. And this is critically important as we think about decision making, and especially about when we think about decision making about our life and our career, to understand that these competencies of thinking beyond what we see at the moment and take up a challenge and be able to embrace that challenge and understand that if we keep working on our barriers and we continue to have that persistence, we can move and shift that. And that's true for how we think about our present strengths, our weaknesses, and think more critically about as we think about the jobs we want. So with that, I'll make a quick conclusion to share that within here at MGIEP, and my next slide will provide this information, that there are many resources available both from our organization, UNESCO MGIEP, on thinking and helping educators. Parents are welcome to join as well. It's a free online course that we provide to help teachers understand what are these competencies or social emotional competencies. So resources like how do you develop emotional awareness, or how do you develop growth mindset, these very important social emotional competencies, so that they are better aware, are able to make better decisions, and use that moving forward. We also have similar courses for teachers around their digital skills. And we've had a big conversation about digital trends and where the job market is going. So we also have similar courses for teachers to build their digital competencies. And in fact, we are in partnership with CBSE once again to bring that up with teachers across India. Thank you. And I will hand it back to you, Kritika.
Thank you so much. That was very enlightening and super impactful. And I just want to take a moment to share why we went in this sequence with having Miss Poonam come first and share so much about the relevance of SEL-based learning in a classroom and the teacher's role in that. If you look at, I mean, this might seem like a very rudimentary example, but if we look at what really enables somebody to be successful when they are a working professional, a lot of it comes down to how emotionally intelligent, safe, and comfortable one feels in being themselves, and how confident they feel in being able to communicate their decisions, work in teams, collaborate, solve conflict effectively. And these competencies are not developed once you enter the workforce. It is developed consistently and deliberately over a period of time, most importantly in the learning years in school. And if we take intentional steps towards creating a safe space in the classroom where students can use this information to reflect, like the tools that Ms. Poonam shared with the feeling wheel, and other activities that can really help students to learn more about how they're feeling, that's a great first step in enhancing their self-awareness. And the more self-aware, the more self-confident, and the more clarity that they have on who they are, the greater likelihood of success in whatever they're choosing to do and where they go while they're doing what they want to do. So this is such a great start and a very important tool and skill that we've learned of how we establish this, because even referring back to Ram sir's address on how we need to equip students to become empowered to make their own decisions, that is going to come from self-awareness and emotional safety. And that's why this is so critical and so important, and the first step to informed career decision making. So thank you for setting an incredible context and sharing some fantastic tools around this. I now want to invite Ms. Upasana to share with us. As we talked about at the beginning of the session, we have a dearth of 15 lakh counselors in India, at least right now, that we need to support for the 320 million plus students. So in a context like this, where teachers are going to be taking a proactive role in helping students to become more informed, whether it's in the context of self-awareness, bringing exposure to new career pathways and existing career pathways in the world of work, or how to make the choice itself. What are some simple, incremental, and effective techniques that the teacher can build into classroom learning from your experience that you could share with us? And if you could share those examples and take us through the process as well.
Kritika, you'll be sharing the slides, I guess.
Yes, Ms. Anupama will be bringing up your slides.
So till then, I think I just greet all of you. Very good evening to all of you. The last two questions, when they were asked, I jumped in to answer them without actually greeting all of you. So very good evening to all. And thank you to CBSE for creating this platform for all of us to come together. And I am humbled to see such a large number of teachers over here. And I'm hopeful that it's going to change your mindsets to a lot of, to a great extent, and it's going to help you as well. So coming to what I'm going to cover is a worksheet that I generally use in my practice. And I thought that that's something very simple, and that's something that's going to help teachers if they want to incorporate it in their practice. That's going to really help them. So when I think about teachers as career guidance counselors, so I also think about you people as somebody who is trying to be the GPS for the students. So you are the GPS for the students, and that is something that you need to have in your mind when you are creating this platform for them, where they are able to create or plan their own pathway. So looking at the four things that we are going to discuss here, I think we'll quickly move to the next slide. Yes. So when we talk about, giving them a worksheet, so do not think that, it's like giving one worksheet and asking them to complete in one go is like trying to eat an elephant at one go. So what I would suggest is, whatever I am telling you, sheet by sheet, that is something that you can, have in small chunks and do it with them. So starting with this sheet, which I have designed specially, which you can take it up yourself as teachers, where we are talking about personal interests first. So this is something that has already been spoken about, but interests are basically like seeds of their career dreams. Those are the seeds from where the plant is going to come out. And the way it was said about, that you need to be self-aware. So to be self-aware means to also be aware where your real interest actually lies. So we need to encourage students to understand and reflect as to what they genuinely enjoy. So their hobbies, their favorite subjects, the dream jobs, all of this gives some clue to their potential careers. So they need a lot of time where they need to sit and reflect. Most of us, what we do is, and if we talk about ourselves and go back in our lives and think about how much time actually we took to decide our own career in the beginning, I don't think we really paid a lot of attention in the beginning. It's only as and when we grew and evolved in our careers, we started learning and knowing more about it. And sometimes we do say, I wish I would have known. I wish somebody was there who was guiding us. So you have to be that somebody. So treat this worksheet not just as a map. This is going to be like handing them a compass where they can go back to this worksheet, and they can always do it again, probably a year later, and repeat it and understand, because they will be reflecting again and again on the same things, and will be very, very, it will be easy for them to decide and have an informed decision. So when we talk about careers, we talk about, careers where, we talk about interests. So there is an example that is coming to my mind right now. there was this case which was referred to me, and it was a new student who had certain depressive states, and the mother had come to meet me to discuss that the child was having certain symptoms. So I met the child, and I could see that it was a serious case, and he needed some psychiatric interference there. So we sent this child to the psychiatrist, and he was straight away put on psychiatric medication because he was at time suffering from depression. Once his symptoms subsided, he came back to school, and that time we tried and again tried to send him back to his classes, but he looked very disconnected, and he always said that, ma'am, I don't feel like studying, I don't feel like coming to school. It was probably also because the trigger was changing of the school. So slowly and steadily we realized that his interest lies in photography, and he said that in his previous school he was part of the photography club, and incidentally we didn't have a photography club in our school. So we encouraged him to start a photography club in this school, and we allowed him not to attend the classes if he didn't feel like. He can just come to school, do some photography work, and attend classes only when he felt he was little ready to go in the classes. So we gave him that agency where he could decide when to go to the class. So probably he felt supported in school, and this was not something I was doing alone. There were teachers who were guiding him, and I was just one of them. And slowly he not just only settled in the classes, but today he is a professional photographer. So imagine if the teachers wouldn't have guided him then and there and tried to encourage his interest. So I really don't know what would have happened to a kid without any support. Going to the next slide, where we will be touching upon career research, because what we know and what is there out in the field is there's a huge gap. So like I said in the beginning, that I might also not know a lot of careers that are existing or will exist 5 or 10 years from now. So it's important that we have that research mindsets ourselves, and encourage our kids also to have that mindset where they start researching more. So they need to research on careers as to what kind of education is required, what kind of key skills are required, then comparing the pros and cons with each other. So giving you a few examples here, say for example, a student says that I'm interested in becoming a graphic designer, for instance. So then he would try and research on what is the job description of a graphic designer. So maybe the child was just saying it out of, he's seen somebody who's a graphic designer, but when you give this worksheet, he or she would have to go back and check what is actually the work that a graphic designer has to do. So he would go back, and then probably he'll come out with, a designer who creates visual concepts, uses computer software, or by hand communicates ideas, and all of that is being done for brochures, magazine, corporate reports, etc., etc. Then what is the required education and training? So again, he goes back and researches on that. So it can be a degree in graphic designing, or maybe a related field, which is typically, maybe like a computer graphics course or a communication course, or certain internships and hands-on experiences. So it is only possible if they're researching and if they know that this is something that is going to help them be what they really are talking about right now. And what are the key skills that they need? They need to be creative, proficient in graphic design softwares. So once they reflect on this, they may see what are the gaps. So if this is something that I can learn right now, why not enroll in an online course and start my journey right away? So that is something where this worksheet really helps them to kind of wake them up and tell them that, this is the time to probably work on skills if that is something that is missing. Now we also talk about looking at pros and cons of certain careers. So if graphic designer is something that this child is talking about, then we are going to tell them it's very important to weigh the pros and cons of both of them, because once you understand the benefits and the challenges, then it's easy for you to, again, to make an informed decision, and then you go with your eyes open that, okay, this is a challenge that is worth taking, because the benefits are huge that I see for myself, which can be, I'm able to creatively express myself, and I have flexible work environments, and I'm part of groups of designers, and that is where I thrive. So that is important for him to know that these are the pluses if I get into this course. But at the same time, if I look at the flip side of it, then again, we can say maybe it's a high competition, highly competitive field, a lot of talented individuals looking at the same positions, and maybe not enough vacancies for these positions, and a lot of struggle, and maybe the clients are very demanding, and the differences in their aesthetics and artistic viewpoints. Maybe I'm a person who would want somebody to just accept my ideas the way it is. So he has to, or she has to, look into the pros and cons also, and that is what this child has to start working on from the school itself. So it can go on and on depending on what this child really wants to do. So it may not be just what I said. So it can be a lot of other things. But I think we'll go ahead with the next part of the worksheet. And that is where we again talk about skills and education. So identifying current skills and those that need development, which is crucial. So like we talked about the skills we needed for this being a graphic designer, right? So here, I mean, I would just want audiences to tell me how many of you ended up being teachers, though you never planned for it. Why don't you write yes if you planned to be a teacher, and no if you didn't plan to be a teacher and still you are a teacher today? Why don't you write it in the chat box? So it will be interesting to see how many of you came well planned in this career. So looking at, again, skills and education, skills actually are like stepping stones to their dreams. The education is like stepping stones to their dreams. So I am reminded of Batman. I mean, Batman also probably had to train before he became a superhero. So, I mean, we are humans. We need to train ourselves. So going forward to the action plan.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to share that I'm looking at the responses on the chat, and a lot of people have, it looks like a 50-50 split between people saying yes and people saying no.
But that's interesting. I know. I mean, I'm part of that audience most of the time. So I don't know what I would have written a no. I mean, what I am today, I never planned when I was in school. So we figured out probably, when I was in school and I had guidance, maybe it would have taken lesser number of years to do what I'm doing today. I don't know. That's just an if. So coming to creating an action plan now. So it is like, planning a recipe, and you need just the right ingredients and steps to create something amazing. So creating an action plan is where the magic happens. So students outline short-term and long-term actions to achieve their goals. This makes their aspirations tangible and achievable. So I'm sure some of you must have heard about SMART goals. So teach your children how to create those SMART goals for themselves. And those children who have their goals right in the beginning, that is somehow, very, very good for them, and for us as well to see them succeed. And I'm sure you also must have a lot of stories where, you've seen students who planned well ahead in time and they did really well in life. So in fact, I would say, think about your own goals at present. What's that one small step you can take today? Maybe you can again share with us in the chat box, and we will have some interesting resource once the entire workshop is over by now. So moving ahead, let's talk about reflection. So anything that we do, no matter what part of the worksheet we do, one of the most important thing is reflection. Can we please move to the next slide? So reflection, it actually helps students assess their own feelings about the career options they are looking at and identify the support they need. It's a vital step, in ensuring that they are on the right path. So it is important they reflect, and it is important for teachers to give them that space where they reflect on whatever they have written on the worksheets and how it makes them feel. In fact, when I think about reflection, it is like a bridge between their dreams and reality, and reflection can be a big help there. Coming to teachers' feedback, so once the students have done their part, it is important that they come back to the teachers, because personalized advice and guidance will definitely help students refine their plans and stay motivated. So, when they finished, try and handhold them, see where you see that there is something, probably you don't see some synergy between what he or she has written and what he or she shows in the classroom or outside the classroom. Or maybe you can guide him or her better if you see there is some need over there. So that kind of conversation definitely should happen once the worksheet is done. And like I said, do not try and eat the elephant in one go. Keep it in small chunks. You'll be able to eat it properly and enjoy it as well. So it is really important that your mentorship is there throughout, starting from day one towards the end. So that's what we're supposed to do. Now, talking about mentorship, I have again another question for the audience. Think of a teacher who made a difference in your life. Share their name in the chat. So that's going to be interesting to see different names of the teachers, and maybe if they are there and watching this, so they would like to see their students after so many years, remembering them while watching this. Okay, so coming to some quick practical tips for implementing these worksheets. We'll be sharing 2 of them with you. Yes. So it will be small gist of what Ganesh sir also said in the beginning, that, there are certain things that you do to implement them. And that's what we are going to talk about. Next slide, please. So how to integrate them into the existing curriculum. Can we please move to the next slide, where we have integration into, yes, the existing curriculum. So using examples, career examples, like teaching a math lesson, you can use examples of how architects use geometry in their designs, or how financial analysts use statistics to predict market trends. I remember when I was in school, I studied trigonometry, and this is a universal joke kind of a thing, where I have heard it many times, even till this date. A lot of people say, why did we study trigonometry? Where is it used? We were not told where it is used. It is used, and it is very effectively used in a lot of areas. So I guess this is something that we need to understand, that we as teachers should not, our work should not end with the student's report card at the end of the year, be it grade 5 or be it grade 12. The kind of joy it gives to you as a teacher, and when you meet a child after 5 years or 10 years successful in their lives, that is uncomparable. And especially when they say that, ma'am, it's because of you that I thought of picking up this career, and now see how well I'm doing. So I'm sure you would want to be that one teacher. So think about your own subjects, and maybe you can share in the chat how you might incorporate certain career examples. It can be an extensive resource for other teachers who are reading it. So maybe somebody who is teaching biology can talk about how a biologist work, and what is the work area and stuff like that. So maybe think about your own subject and write what kind of examples you'll give. Then linking to the real world, again, that's something has been talked about. Say, for example, a history project where students research the impact of historical events on current professions. Or a literature assignment where they explore careers related to writing and publishing. Embedding these workshops, career worksheets into regular activities, which can help students explore different career paths, that explore subjects that they are studying. Engagement and brainstorming together as to how we can integrate them together. So that is something that is important, and you should be looking at how it can be done. So moving on to the next one. Yes, can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so I think I am overshooting my time. So maybe I'll quickly touch upon these activities here. This will just give you some idea onto how you can do it. Go ahead with peer discussions, group projects, presentations, which can be done during assemblies. Presentations like a presentation on a specific subject, how it leads to certain careers. Can we move to the next slide? Next slide, please. Use of technology, yes, that is really important. So there are certain important websites that I've shared. So this is something that you can also use yourself, look at them and share with your students. These are the resources that you can use with your students. These are the tools which students use to explore different careers and career paths and subjects. And I would suggest all of you to use them. Next slide. Collaborating with colleagues, share responsibility. It's not one person's job, we know. Do joint activities where you do a career fair where everybody takes responsibility of careers related to their subjects. Next slide. Involving parents and guardians. I mean, your parents are a big resource. They are in different careers. Identify them, call them for certain talks to your school. They become your resource and they talk to your students. Next slide. I think next is my last slide. Can we please move? So it's simple, exploring, planning, and then succeeding. So with this, I would like to end my session. Just in the end, I would like to say thank you for being such amazing educators and making a difference in students' lives. And always remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So one activity at a time. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Upasana ma'am. I think what was great about your session is that you built a very meaningful chronology, right, from how teachers can enable self-exploration, how they can guide career exploration, contribute to skill building, and then put that all together to create a pathway plan for students to make decisions in collaboration with stakeholders and in consensus with other systems and functions in the school. And this is a beautiful segue to what I'm going to invite Rupa ma'am to talk about, because as a school leader, she's really put a lot of innovative pedagogies in place that really ties all of these threads together. Because what is happening in schools more often than not is that students feel like learning is happening in isolation. Okay, I'm learning about subjects in class, I'm going and participating in extracurriculars or co-curriculars, and I'm learning a particular skill or competency through that. I do community service and I get community service credit for it. But what is the thread of learning between all of these different activities? How is it built progressively year on year? If a child is participating in an elocution competition in the middle school, to their participation potentially in debate in high school, what is the thread between all of the learning that they get from different school activities and functions? And at a system level, can you share some examples of good practices from your school, as well as general best practices on how we can create a systemic shift to make career guidance a core function, as well as a seamlessly integrated function in school?
Well, I think I have nothing to say. They've all spoken so beautifully and given such a beautiful picture of what can be done as a career counselor. So I think we'll begin with the slides, but I'd like you to keep it a bit on my photograph because I'm an egotistical person. I have a huge ego and I like my photograph to be on the screen. Just keep it on my photograph, please. Thank you. The reason I wanted it on my photograph because, there's a very famous saying, anybody who's here on this forum and who knows me will say that she's been using this particular Sanskrit saying for many years. But it's one of the best statements. Samati sarthi iti sansaram. The world is ever evolving. And we should understand that life is changing. When change happens, there's uncertainty. When there's uncertainty, our behavior becomes limited. And when our behavior has limitations, then we become vulnerable. And when we are vulnerable, lot of potential comes forward, and then we change to keep pace with time. And what I am saying, like Gandhiji said in his book, with Experiments with the Truth, that whatever I am saying is as old as the hills. But have we tried to kind of bring it all together? The first thing for change I wish to tell you is start using the word transversal. Experiential is knowledge plus skills, experience. That is experiential. Transversal is knowledge plus skills, your experience, plus employability skills. That is how we need to look at our methodology. I'm so glad that we have this particular line in today's topic, integrating career education in CBSE curricula, because this is exactly what I'm going to be telling you. Next slide, please. So first and foremost, teachers, I also being a teacher. Next slide, please. That career counseling begins from day one. So the first career counselor is the family. Could we go back to the previous slide? The first career counselor is the family. So when the family is career counseling you, we are moving on to the second part of the career counseling. That's the family and the school. In the school, in the lower classes, it's the family and the teacher. As you go up little to the higher classes, it's the family, the school, where it's the teacher and peer, and you come in, some schools come into aptitude tests. And when you come into the 9th to 12th bracket or 8th to 12th bracket, it is family plus school, teacher, peer, the child himself or herself, aptitude test, and of course, artificial intelligence. Everybody's talking about NVIDIA, which is Jensen Huang, who's the founder of NVIDIA. He's the person who did accelerating computing. In 1999, he started. And this is why there has been so much of change and AI has come to the fore. We should all know ourselves as teachers to be giving it to the children. And that is why, the next one, please. So I will begin with this family, school, aptitude test and AI. I'll just give you an example how we are teaching. This bit that you are seeing is called the parents walk-in of grade 1. All right. And this is the parents walk-in of grade 6. So I will give you an example of teaching, integrating career education in CBSE curriculum. Have you ever thought that when as a maths teacher you were teaching LCM and HCF, did you ever think how to apply it to the real world? When you were teaching as a teacher of English, active and passive voice, did you ever think, how will I use it? So I'll quickly tell you how we do it in our school. So what we do when we do LCM, HCF, we help the children apply the LCM or HCF, like they are supposed to fill 3 buckets of water, understand how it has to be done, or active passive in grade 6. They usually make, and if I talk about 2023, 24, I know some section made fudges, another section made bhel puri, and they work in pairs or in threes. So when they are working like that, they have to talk to each other in the active voice. And then they go around the school offering this to teachers, whatever they make, whether it's bhel puri or fudges or sandwiches. And they explain to those people whom they are offering it to outside their class, how they made it in the passive voice. So another example of the parents walk-in is the way our school does revision. So now how do we teach I'm going to tell you quickly that the family and the school comes together. So they went to Humayun Tomb as a monument that they were studying in grade 5. So they went there and they sat there and they measured, they did tessellation. That is, they took each floor tile and understood tessellation. That was what they were doing in mathematics. They did mensuration. So they measured one tile and guessed from the area that they had over there that how many tiles would be required. Of course, they did science because they looked at some broken walls and understood what was the material that was used in those walls, you know, like lime, etc. In the olden days, it was different material. Of course, in social science, they were already at the Humayun tomb, so they knew about Humayun, or they were understanding because there was also a guide to explain to them besides their teachers. Then they sat under a tree and they drew the Humayun tomb looking at it, right? And then they wrote about the trip sitting under the tree. So you can see how the integrated subject learning happened. Then the parents walk in, which is our revision. So the parents came in May to check on grade 5 how they had done their topic on Humayun tomb, which is monuments. And they sat there, and this is what the children, every child in every section, then take up one of these topics, and then they integrate it and teach it to the parents through activities, etc. It begins with a dance and song. So they did a bit of it from a certain period of time. Then they did some dances, then they went to the class where they taught their parents. And that was the glimpse that you saw just now. Could I just have the slide, please? And over there, when they did the revision, the family and the school came together for the learning, and the parents could see how well they had learned, or what was the scope for improvement for their child to be able to reinforce that at home. So that is the parents walk-in and how we teach in an integrated manner. Right. Then we come to another way that we do learning. So I told you about the stakeholders, how the family and the school come together. Similarly, family, school, and peers, etc., is another aspect, along with the aptitude test, and of course, lastly, artificial intelligence, because we are a school which is focused on e-portfolio. So we do most of our things online. But I understand there are schools in the interiors of India who may not be able to do, but you can definitely do. Let's say you are staying in Udaipur. You can go to Chittor and you can do something like that. If you are staying in Madhya Pradesh, then let's say, like if you are in Indore, you can go to close by wherever there are these, these monuments that you have, and you have so many monuments. You could go there. In Gwalior also you have the fort, and you could do a study and integrate the subjects. Now the anecdotal record, and I'm showing you of a child in the elementary years or the foundational. So you see, this is of 24-25, and if you can read it, you will see that the teacher has started keeping a record, right? And this we have it right from nursery up to grade 11. And you can see this is the multiple intelligences that we have used: bodily, kinesthetic, logical. So I hope you know the 8 multiple intelligences, because it's very prevalent these days. So you have logical thinking, which is mathematics and sequencing, logical thinking, etc. You have linguistic, which is languages. Then you have music and kinesthetic. Music can also be mathematics, and kinesthetics is sports and dancing. Then you have naturalistic, which is nature, biology, etc. Then you have spatial, which is measurement, distances, etc. Then, of course, you have interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills. And that for me as a teacher is very, very important. And then what you see at the side is sometimes if there is a special incident, anecdote that happens with this particular child, then they write over there that what has happened. So that, you know, this is culminated. Every class, this child's record is then keeps being added up because it's all in the e-portfolio. So we just keep adding up. What we are working on is now to kind of make it into a graphical representation so that we can see the trend right from a young age, that what is the inclination of the child. Like in this case, you will be able to see certain skills that the child has in bodily kinesthetic, right? So that we will see the trend in every class. Is it staying or going away? Let's go to the next anecdotal record. And you see Hindi teacher and the other teachers have also written, and they are taking all three domains, you know. They are taking the cognitive domain, which is your head. They are taking your hand, which is the skills part. And then they are taking your heart, which is the affective domain. So they take all three domains and they write. Next one, please. So this is of one child, then the next one is of another child. And so there are three anecdotal records. So you saw how we do the teaching learning. Then you saw how we keep the records of these people. And lastly, I wish to tell you about our apprenticeship program. So you can see another child's record. And here this child is developing the skills, I think in PHE in badminton. So this is a little child in the foundational stage, but we don't know whether the badminton will stay, you know, and there are the other things that the teacher is writing. One of the teachers wrote one of the most beautiful things which talked about this child in the anecdotal record. She wrote that the child's name I forget, runs after butterflies but never catches it. Can you imagine what a beautiful statement? It shows that the child is kinesthetically inclined, maybe, has this tendency for nature, so is naturalistic in his intelligence, but the intrapersonal doesn't allow it to kind of taint nature or kill or capture the butterfly. Could we go to the next one, please? Because I know there's a paucity of time, so I'll just move quickly. So career counseling in schools, and I want to tell you that from grade 9 onwards till grade 12, we have apprenticeship program. Our school is 18 years old. And since the last 13 years, we have the apprenticeship program. And CBSE also tells you all the three things that I'm telling you about. It is talking about, you know, the no silos, about integrated subject teaching, which in Sun City we are doing for the last 18 years. Then they talk about doing education through monuments. We did do that. We do that. And then we have the apprenticeship, which we are doing for the last 13 years. So you can see this is a 2024 May month. They went to an architectural firm. They went to a law firm. So you can see the photographs. They went to hospitality. And then you can see that they went to clothes. This particular parent has this industry for making clothes, so that you can see that. They also went to hospital, they went to NGO, etc, etc. They went to SL Group, Sunset. So they did work according to their inclination. And I'll give you a quick example of a child who took up biology in class 11, went to the hospital, and she saw a small little surgery being conducted, and she kind of just sat down because she was so dizzy to see the little blood that was coming out, and that made her change her subject from biology. So you can see, and these children who go for these summer jobs or apprenticeship program, they make their CVs so that they are able to do that employability skill. What is the objective of education to prepare for the real world, right? So they prepared their CV, they go through interviews, then they're given the job. They can do it for a week or 2 weeks. And when they finish, they write a report about the job, and then the school gives them a stipend. It's a very small amount, but I can tell you that the day is given away in the assembly, every child is present to come up on the stage and receive that amount. So that again gives it a very good timeline, from the little ones whose anecdotal records are being kept. Then when they come from grade 1 to grade 9, we have the parents walk in where they do revision by showcasing. And then thirdly, the apprenticeship program. It is a very nice way of integrating career education into the curriculum. Well, as I end, I would like to say just two things. The first thing is create an environment of learning where they are curious, because when you're curious, you ask also, you become you become inquisitive and you want to know more. And when you want to know more, you become a self-directed lifelong learner. So that's one thing I wish to tell you, that you must ensure to ignite their curiosity. And lastly, I cannot end this without saying that the sanskars that you teach will ensure the marks, and all this will ensure a job, but the sanskars will ensure that you become successful in whatever you do. So even though I'm the director of the 4 schools, I take life skills because that is the most important thing in life. Thank you for listening, and over to Kritika.
Thank you so much, Rupa ma'am. That was fantastic. And I think to have a school leader in your position who is at a policy level and at a cultural level creating a shift in the school ecosystem is incredibly impactful. And I'm very, very grateful to you for showing us many different ways that we're tying in aspects of student learning through activities, community service, etc., into a holistic career guidance effort. Very, very grateful. And I can see the progression that we've built, right? Starting from Poonam's component on internal self-reflection, to Upasana's section on classroom level transformation, to Rupa ma'am's examples on a whole of school level transformation. This progression was intentionally built out really to help us to see what role we as teachers can play in the classroom, as well as roles that we can take up in support of creating a holistic learning environment outside the classroom as well. Just as we conclude, I want to share one little takeaway, which is an exciting use of technology to aid in your work. So I'm just going to bring up my screen sharing. What you can do as teachers is sometimes this concept of linking careers to the chapters that you're teaching. What can we do to aid you in that process? Here's a fun way that you can use ChatGPT to help you in this process. So I'm opening up ChatGPT right now, and I've put in a prompt here, and this is an example of a prompt that you can share. I'm a mathematics teacher for grade 9 at a CBSE school in India. I'm teaching a chapter in algebra. I want to give a few examples of how algebra is used in new age real world careers and give a brief explanation of how algebra is used in that career. So this is a prompt that I'm putting, and I'm entering it into ChatGPT. You'll see the live generation happening right now of how ChatGPT gives you exciting examples of how careers are linked to algebra. So the next time you're teaching that chapter, you can start with this process, Google this more further to read more about the careers. You can do more with ChatGPT also. For example, if I want to say, give me examples of unconventional careers linked to algebra. Now ChatGPT is going to show me a couple of new age examples that also might be topics and careers that are exciting for students. Some of the more traditional careers are things that they might have heard of and are in the purview of teachers already. But in terms of providing options and access to opportunities that are new age, This is a great example of how we can use technology to do this. And I would really encourage you to do that. There is a lot you can do further with ChatGPT, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can even ask it a question like, what are some skills I'm teaching students through algebra in my class? Oh, apologies. I typed this quite fast. Okay. So it's a question asking what are some skills I'm teaching students through algebra in my class. So it is giving you a list of 21st century skills linked to the topic that you're teaching and an explanation of how you are developing those skills. The next time you're teaching that topic, you can say, when the child is raising their hand quite frustrated and irritated, like Upasana ma'am had mentioned, saying, why am I studying this? You can give them a clear example of the skill that they're learning, the career it's connected to, and how that correlation works. And this is a great example of how we can build inspiration in the classroom. So I'll stop right here. I want to thank all of you for your incredible insights, our wonderful panelists. Thank you for all the resources and examples that you shared as well. This has been a really impactful session, even as a listener and a learner. And with this, I'd like to take a moment to pause. I see Neeti ma'am is here, so I'd like to turn it over to her for a couple of comments and then to Ekta to conclude the session. Neeti ma'am, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kritika. You have done a great job here today. I don't think you are moderating the session. I think you should be one of the key speakers or one of the, panelists out here. So that role would also suit you. Good to go. And I think first of all, before we start on with the thank you note, one thing is pretty sure that this has started off so well, and all of you have really put in so much experience sharing and information and a way forward to our teachers out there. I know they are all competent. I know they all have their own ways to reach out to the students. The forum here is not really to pinpoint or to direct somebody how to teach or how to counsel, because that counseling is going on as a parallel exercise since ages. It's just that because of the paradigm shift of so much happening now. Earlier things were very, very simple and simplified, and no digitalization, no if and buts, and no peer groups, no peer pressures. I don't remember, like I might have been in my MSc standard, and I was not even worried about what I'll do as a career or what I would be. We were enjoying our college life. Now here, if you look at this 8th class student, he or she is all in such a zone that what will happen to their life ahead. So it's a sorry state of affairs, I should say, for the new generation, and we were the luckier ones. We were not into it so much, but the teachers are the most important cue, I should say. And before I hand it over to anybody else, one small thing I'll just like to echo again, that a lot of you can say, I don't find a word, but yes, the motivation that has come from our chairperson to delve into these aspects and to delve in these topics have been really commendable, and we are thankful to him. Similarly, the secretary, sir, Himanshu sir, has just taken it over. Today, he really wanted to be a part of this session also, and unka bas chale, to I think he would be a part of each and every session that is happening around here. But I'm sure he'll be here with us in the next session or the next one. Thank you so much. And now to Kritika and Ekta for that final note.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeti ma'am, for your very kind words and for a beautiful concluding thought as well. I just want to make a quick announcement before I hand it over to Ekta. The feedback form, which also has the quiz for today's session, is going to be shared with you on the registration form that you used to register for this session. So please access it there. My colleague is also posting it on YouTube, and the form is live. So please make sure to complete that form, and the evaluation of that will lead to the certificate generation. So please make sure to take your time to complete that between today and tomorrow. I'd now like to invite Ekta, who's going to give our concluding note for the day. And she's been an incredible pillar of support in making all of these sessions happen so far. So Ekta, over to you.
Hi, Kritika. Thanks for the kind words. So, good evening, everyone. And as we conclude today's enlightening session, I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to our keynote speakers, Mr. Ramshankar sir and Mr. Manoj Srivastav sir, and to all the panelists, including Poonam ma'am, Upasana ma'am, Rupa ma'am, Mr. Ganesh Kohli sir, and Neeti ma'am for their valuable insights and experiences. So I would like to say that your contributions have provided us with profound strategies and practical tools, and in fact, I'm confident that the knowledge that you guys have shared today will have a great impact not only on our teaching methods but also on the lives of the students. And I would like to once again thank you all for making this workshop a success. And we look forward to seeing the positive changes that will come from our collective efforts. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day. And like Kritika mentioned, please do fill out the feedback forms. It's already live. So thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful session and have a good evening. Thank you so much.